Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Pisces. If Pisces is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so this is a bonus reading for Pisces. And tonight we have what is called the Awakening card from this deck, the Tarot of the Abyss, okay? This is also in other decks, Judgment, okay? Okay, let's go ahead and see what these tea leaves have to say tonight. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. All right. So I feel like immediately I'm seeing we have two, it feels like two kind of animals, dominant animals on both sides, right? Kind of tussling with each other, quarreling a little bit for control over the situation. Now, I wonder if this is romantic. It could be within the family, but I feel like this is a situation where it's kind of like both people want to take the lead constantly, right? It's just in their nature, okay? Kind of always like, you know, they want to run things. They have a vision of how things should be and how the system of the household should be, or, you know, life together or individually should be, and maybe doesn't always match. And so there's this kind of back and forth, kind of, you know, tug of war between who is kind of the one in control and who is the one that's going to kind of, you know, maybe be a little more submissive. But I don't think that can happen really, because it's just absolutely, you know, you're not somebody who is going to live the way that somebody wants you to live. You can only do it for so long, right? And they are somebody who, you know, they same kind of deal, same way. Now, it's not doomed, okay? There are a lot of people. Listen, my husband and I, very similar. I'm a Virgo that just wants to run everything the way I want to. I like everything just so. And my lovely Cancer, he's a Cancer, Sun Cancer, and a lunar Virgo. So, and I'm a solar Virgo and a lunar, or no, ascendant. What's important for me? Ascendant Capricorn. So I like things how I like them. He likes things how he likes them. He usually will let me kind of decide a little bit, but not the whole deal. Right? So there's a lot of compromise that happens, and hey, it works, right? Now in this situation, you know, I think that this is where communication is goal. Also, like I said, compromising, learning how to not take things so personally. And I sigh because I know it. It's hard. It's hard. You know, even just now, and shout out to my husband over at Dove and Serpent Tarot. If you haven't watched his readings, go check him out. You might be wondering, because maybe you know Paul, maybe you have watched his readings already. He seems very easygoing, doesn't he? Yeah, he is for the most part, but not always. So, yeah, there are times, you know, where it's like, we just have moved into a house and we've set up new studios and all this stuff. And so we both like to cook, right? He doesn't get to cook very often, but he likes to cook. And I'm in the kitchen constantly. You know, I cook 2 or 3 meals every day. And I like the kitchen a certain way. Now he also wants things the way that feels intuitive to him. And we've had to compromise. A big thing that we compromised on recently, where our big cutting board goes. I have a big butcher's block. And he didn't like where I had it. So we moved it. I don't necessarily love where it's at, but I'll learn, right? Because hopefully that means he'll get in the kitchen and he'll be comfortable. And so that is to say, you know, sometimes we can just find a way, can't we? You know, we can find a way. Now, I feel that there's a lot of love here, you know, and this, like I said, this doesn't have to be a romantic partner. Maybe this is like a parent or one of your kids, right? Yeah, yes. Whew. I didn't even think about my daughter. She is very headstrong. She's a Gemini through and through. So yeah, sometimes there's a lot of compromise that has to happen there. But I do feel like there's so much love here. Is it frustrating sometimes? Yes. And I think that where this is coming in right now and why it's so prominent is because you're coming to this awareness that the way that you are communicating together isn't necessarily working the way that you want it to. Okay? There are a lot of times, I think, where we think the way that we're saying something should absolutely make sense to somebody else, especially if it is somebody that we are close to, somebody that we have kind of a devoted relationship with. But it's not always the case, right? I have found out time and time again, people sometimes don't know what the heck I'm talking about. I get it in the comments sometimes. You know, and I feel like in my mind, oh, this is really clear. Not the case always. And that's okay. And that's how we kind of, you know, we look at like, well, how could I change this a little bit so that maybe it will resonate with them more, right? Maybe I can get through and we can have, you know, a productive conversation where we can figure out, you know, what's going to work for both of us. What's realistic? You know, not these lofty ideas and goals and, you know, kind of utopian visions of how the household might be one day. No, but what's going to happen right now and how are we going to change it so it starts to work? Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it starts to go in a direction of change. Okay, and I think this is a really, I mean, it's important. And so I feel like this is a successful thing. You know, this might be one of the strides forward that really is lasting. Okay, let's see. Now we have the number 7. Okay, we have the number 1. Oh, we have a face. How interesting. Oh, it reminds me of, do you remember that comic strip? Was it called Tintin? Rin Tin Tin? There was a guy and his dog. And anyways, this is side profile. We have an eye here. We have the nose kind of right in here. We have the mouth and then the head kind of rounded here. So it looks like looking this way. And it does. It looks youthful. It looks kind of, with this, it almost reminds me of like some kind of like manga type of thing. But it does. It feels like this excitement, almost kind of a, almost whimsical or fae-like. And I feel that maybe, I wonder if in this, because we're coming up on the solstice, right? If it's the summer or winter solstice, depending on where you're at, I feel that there's a real draw for you to partake in some kind of activity or ritual, ceremony. Maybe this is something that is formal, that there will be a gathering of people. Maybe this is just something for you, you know. Whatever it is, follow that instinct. Go out there and make yourself a little ritual. Here's the fun thing about magic. Here's the fun thing about spirituality. You do not have to follow any kind of written ceremony or, something that's prescribed. No, you absolutely don't have to. Now, it's good, obviously, as most things, it's good to have some knowledge of, right? Know what people do, why they do it to some degree, right? What does it mean? What does it look like? And maybe try those out. You know, you can do that, obviously. But then the fun part is making your own rituals, doing your own things. And, whatever it is. I personally, I like to bury stuff. I like to bury my prayers. I like to bury, like my appeals. I like to bury offerings. I like to, when I first started out, I don't know why this even came about for me, but I would take little jars, kind of like baby food jars, but I would get them from, minced garlic. Okay. And I would stuff it full of little folded pieces of paper with sacred symbols and appeals. And, I like to dry flowers. I pick plants and flowers and I dry them every year. And then when the kids in the family have birthdays and graduations and stuff, I'll give them as a present. Oh, this is the year that you graduated high school, and these are flowers that were growing that year, and I put them in their cards and stuff. And so anyways, I have all these dried flowers and things. And so I would, I put them in the jar and I stuff it full, and then I close it. And then, I wait for a sacred night, and I go beneath the moon or the lack thereof. And, depending on where I was living, I've lived in several places since I started this, but then I would go out late at night and bury them, bury them in the ground. And don't worry, I would go and retrieve them, because that's a whole other ritual. But this is to say, I've never known anybody to do this. I've never read about it. We know that people do time capsules and hide stuff and whatever, bury it to, treasures and things. But the fun part of doing magic is that it will show itself to you. It absolutely will. And don't feel silly about it. Don't. Do what you feel, right? As long as you're not harming anybody or anything. At least that's I can't tell you about your morality or your ethical systems. But I do like to add in, just do no harm. You don't impede on anybody's will, right? And so anyways, I see this beautiful picture and I feel like, yes, there is. It's like the little whisper of spirit telling you, come on, it's time to partake. It's time to do your dance, and it's time to, set up your altar and maybe, one I think is beautiful too is like doing your dreams or your traumas, things that are very difficult for you to say, to think about, having them written and throwing them into the pyre, right? Right into a beautiful fire that's going. Burn that stuff. Let it go. Now, obviously, it doesn't go away, but it's cathartic. Okay, so whatever you are drawn to, it is a beautiful time to be creating rituals. And I know that you have it in you. I do. I know you're very magical, Pisces. Okay, let's see. So we have some fish jumping. And we have a person here. Okay, and then we have fish. We have, it looks like a dog right there. We also have another person up here. And this person over here sitting, you can see the head. I always forget. Okay, that's blurry. Now it's good. Okay, so we have the head, we have the arm, kind of holding their knees. They're like in a seated position, holding their knees. Birds. So I almost feel like somebody, like a good friend, okay, because we have the dog down here. Somebody like a good friend calling upon you to do some kind of work, or maybe like they have a job offering or some kind of project, but I do feel like it will be quite lucrative for you. Ultimately, I don't know if this particular project will, render a lot of money, but I feel like you will find something that you enjoy doing and you do well, and realizing, hey, I can make some good money doing this. And so this might be the beginning of a new business or like a side hustle or something like that. Now up here, I feel like we have that person there. We have this person here. I feel like it's like trying to decide between, this looks like a boat over here with a horse kind of on it, but this feeling of kind of working into these deeper places to dispel some of the blockages. And I think these are energetic blockages. This has something to do with maybe like an old pain. Maybe something that happened, some kind of trauma, something that you feel like comes up often or at least once in a while, and it can kind of hinder you from doing the things that you want to do. On the other hand, I feel like there's a sense of, I really want to rest. I really want to be able to kind of recharge myself. I don't necessarily want to dive into this work right now because I feel like I need to kind of regain my strength before I get into all of that. So I feel like there's kind of a choice happening here. So I wonder if maybe there's something like going to therapy. Maybe you're deciding, do I want to do therapy right now? Or is this a time where I'm just going to kind of live my life and, get the rest and kind of strength and confidence I need before I get into this difficult work. Now, I know a lot of times we'll end up in therapy when things are going really wrong. And yeah, that makes sense, especially if we're having like acute problems, depression or psychosis or paranoia or, whatever. A lot of these things can happen when you're under a lot of stress. And if you have any kind of diagnosis and it is really kind of compounded by, the circumstances of life. And then, yeah, we end up in some kind of therapy, right? Because we need to be. But I really am a firm believer as well that we should be thinking about therapy when our life is going really pretty good. Not because it's like, let me just, ruin this vibe with this, difficult emotional work. But no, because I feel like when you are feeling pretty confident, you're, doing things that are working out, you're, in a mode of success and abundance, that's a good time to be quite honest with yourself about the things that need to change or the things that have been really painful for you, because you're usually pretty clear-minded, I would say, when things are going okay, right? I know that I've said this a lot in my readings. I've been in therapy since I was like 12 or 13 or whatever. Almost continuously. I mean, I've been in a lot of different therapies with a lot of different practitioners. And I look forward to my next one. I'm trying to find an analyst right now, a Jungian analyst that I can work with. But, I look at it as such a privilege, and it is, because it's expensive and, not everybody has insurance, especially if you live in America, So even just having any kind of access to a therapist or a counselor or anything, that's hard. It's hard to get. But if you do and you are willing, I think it's so worth it. I absolutely do. And it's, but all in its right time. I feel if you are resistant, if you're not having a moment in life where everything is kind of falling apart and you really do need that, support, then yeah, I think it's, you listen to yourself, you listen to yourself and you go when you're ready. But I can't advocate therapy enough. I know I talk about it constantly in the readings, and I'm sure some people are like, this is not what I came for, but it's part of the whole, I'm not the kind of, I don't know if you call myself an occultist. I'm also quite religious and in my faith and spiritual and all of these things. It just maybe looks different than other people. But I'm not against science, and I'm not against the modern medical world at all. I think that it all kind of coincides. And that's why, I am such I have such a fondness for the Jungian kind of paradigm, right? Because it's very much a mixture of medicine, of mysticism, of alchemy and hermeticism, and beyond all of that, the collective, this unconscious collective that spans time and space. I mean, it's beyond. It's universal. It's cosmic, right? And so it all goes together. It all does. And you just got to find a way to kind of tweak it so it all makes sense for you individually. And that doesn't necessarily look the same for each of us, right? There's no wrong or right way of doing it. You just got to keep kind of readjusting as your needs change. And so let's go ahead and take a look. Now it looks like we have a cow right there. So we have a Hathor energy, the mother goddess. We also have an umbrella. We have somebody walking a dog. We have a hawk, and we have a fish. We also have a heart up here. So I feel like this is almost a feeling of like a mother figure, a grandmother, a divine feminine consciousness in your life. They probably are transitioned, and I can feel them really coming through. Worried about, now I don't think they're worried about you so much as this is a person who was a warrior, right? They worried about, do you have a jacket on before you go out? It's like 70 degrees and they're like, don't forget your jacket. This is a person who made sure you had your umbrella. I think that when you think about kind of checking everything over in your life to make sure that you've got everything covered, this is the voice that you hear. This is the ancestor, the elder, the beloved mother that is ever looking out for you. Now, I don't think it's nagging. I think that they just absolutely doted over you. They continue to do so. They wanted everything to always be as perfect or as good as possible for you. And that belovedness is still very much in your life. I feel that you feel it constantly. And the way that you do things are very much influenced by this energy. Okay. Now, we also have the person with the good friend. Okay. So, I feel like there's a sense of, maybe this is the person that has worked for you, but I also feel, because we have that dog repeating, the dog imagery. I also feel like there's a sense of being in that airy place where with the hawk, it's like the sword, right? It is an air element symbol. The hawk is a high-flying bird. It has a wide perspective, okay? So I feel like this is kind of a reminder of using your mind, right? Being logical, being rational, being realistic, okay? Kind of going over everything carefully. Because when we work with people that we know and we love, it's easy to just trust that they know what they're doing. And usually probably they do, right? But I think it's important that you remember that you have to watch your own behind, okay? So make sure you're going over things. Now we have the fish, okay? So again, this tells me there will be money. There will be money. So put your faith in this, in yourself, in this work. And I think that it really will become something long-lasting for you, okay? Now, we also have the bird who is collecting its worm. So it's the same kind of deal, right? You're going to get your prize for sure. Now, we also have the Wild Offering Oracle cards. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll just flip through and stop where it feels right. Okay. And I'll flip this over and it says true love. Ooh. Your wholeness and safety lie within, not from a partner. But this sovereignty actually leads to the deepest intimacy for you to stop using others. Let me stand on my own feet, dear Lord, and know true love. Yes, yeah, absolutely. I say it so many times in the readings. The ultimate love affair, the ultimate romance is one with self. You cannot beat it. Court yourself, love yourself, be devoted to yourself. Treat yourself as you would treat the most divine beloved. Because you are. Because you absolutely are. All right, Pisces, I want to tell you I love you because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It's always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And I thank you for being here. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you want to subscribe, please do. If you want to leave a comment, please do. I read them all. My voice is about to go here, so I'm going to hurry up and finish up. But I love you, and I want you to know that I truly do. And I hope that you have a wonderful few days here. We will talk again very soon. Take care of yourself. Good night, good night, good night.